Recently, the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, reaffirmed the commitment of the regulator in deepening financial inclusion by 95% for adults in year 2024. Despite this ambitious target, one of the factors militating against the financial inclusion goal of the Apex Bank is the interest rate regime. How can the issues of interest rates and other disincentive to financial activities in the country be addressed? Good morning and welcome to the Islamic Finance Weekly. On today's episode, we will be looking at one of the opportunities as we discuss the topic, driving financial inclusion with a no-interest policy. Joining me virtually is my guest, Mr. Lukman Ibrahim, founder and CEO of Halal Payment Service Limited. Good morning, Mr. Lukman. Thank you for coming on the program.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. A recent report by the GSMA revealed that the value of mobile money transactions reached a record of $1 trillion in 2021, where African users remain significant drivers. Despite the progress made so far, women in low and middle income class are still less likely than men to own a mobile money account. Tell us what can be done to make mobile money available in a way that can bridge the gender gaps.
I think we have just identified a very important problem. I would like to start from the GSMA report that's titled The Promise of Mobile Money for Further Advancement of Women's Financial Inclusion. An excerpt from the report shows that 3% of women in low-income and middle-income communities are likely to own a mobile money account, which the gap is really intense. And 20% in sub-Saharan Africa in general. And in the same report, it shows that 58% of women are financially excluded in sub-Saharan Africa, with several barriers, including several barriers preventing women from accessing and using mobile money accounts. Some of the problems include lack of identity, lack of capacity for a need to have it. And most importantly, which is one of the prerequisites to having a mobile money account, is a smartphone. So this is one of the major challenges, especially people who live below $1 in a day. So it's a very large market gap. So some of the solutions today, number one, at least to bring the financial inclusion to people, especially women. I think the government has a very vital role to play in this case by enhancing framework that supports fintech. And I can see the Payment Service Bank, which the federal government has put in place, is actually going to bring a very big change to the financial sector, which most of these telecoms are coming to play their part. And we at Halal, leveraging on no-interest policy, see this as one of the key factors to actually include people, especially people of faith, to join the mobile money market, having accounts, having access to banking services from anywhere that is convenient for them. And this is the essence of the mobile money.
Thank you for those points. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria targets a 95% financial inclusion rate for Nigerians by 2024. How can we drive digital financial inclusion in Nigeria with a no-interest policy?
I think everyone just needs to go back to the ancient book and do what is best, lawful and righteous. We concur from the part of the Muslim, from Quran to Surah Bukola, verse 275, 276, 278, where the Quran states, the forbiddance of taking interest on money you give out to people as a loan, or making profits from money. And then to Quran 3, verse 13, Quran 3, verse 113, Quran 4, verse 161. Please, you can just check it out. And also, I can move on to the book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 7, that says, the borrower is a slave of the lender. And we can look at the conventional way of lending. We have seen cases whereby loan sharks, drag market women around the, market traders around the market, especially the women. There's a language for it in the Yoruba land, which is really, really outrageous and, unacceptable. The unorthodox method of retrieving loan from people, and this is majorly due because of the high interest rate that's being attached to the loan they give to people they claim they are helping. And in our effort to that, I think recently the federal government has to clamp down 6 or more of them operating on illegal activity without the approval of the federal government. You can go and check Psalm 15, verse 5, Psalm 112, verse 5, Leviticus 25, chapter 25, verse 35 to 37. You can also check Exodus 22, verse 25, Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 19. There's a lot of them. You hear the same way it's in the Bible, it's also in the Quran. So it's not, the no-interest policy, it is not just about Islam alone. So that one thing, when every one of us gets to understand that, I think having the mindset to be set already will be the first thing we have to do. Then we can now talk about how we can leverage on the no-interest policy as a way of boosting the economy and elevating people out of poverty. Because I think if money circulates well without interest, and people are able to use it at the time they need it, it will enhance the sustainability of people from needing it for emergency purpose, to education, to family needs, to business capital. It will be easy for borrowers to return without interest, compared to high interest rates that most loan sharks and micro lenders do. I don't want to talk about how it has caused a lot of people to commit suicide. We've seen that on the social media because they were not enabled to pay back the loan, and they are being shamed around. And according to Islamic principles, and the scriptures we've seen in the Bible, loan is supposed to be a form of charity to people and free from interest. But it's difficult for companies that are operating as an entity to drive growth and profitability. But I think the government, if the government wants to implement the no-interest policy, which will actually be the best for any nation, I think there's a need to create policies and frameworks that can drive sustainability models that are already available from Islamic financing models. And also, there's a need to front, the federal government needs to front advocacy programs. And I also challenge Islamic organizations like Islamic Finance Institute to drive advocacy programs. And also, I challenge religious leaders to take this off. Just the way they drive people to pay zakat, sadaqah side. They can also drive people to harness the opportunity and the blessings in non-interest policy. However, we as Halal, we have this as our foundational value. And this is the reason why we started the company. This is a reason for us to drive zero interest finance, because we cannot take an interest-based finance. We see this as value that is represented to everyone, especially people of faith, from Christians, Muslims. You can go check your book and see reasons for you to rather take no interest support finance and compared to interest based. And also, very importantly, it is wrong for a borrower. The Bible says, wicked is a borrower. Wickedness is a borrower who does not return their loan. So we must, this is really important. When you take loans from people, you also try as much as possible to return it to them. Thank you.
Definitely, Mr. Lukman, we need to invest heavily on technology, and fintech is the future of non-interest banking in Nigeria. And I will also urge non-interest financial institutions to invest heavily on technology, and also they need to cater for the needs of the ethically minded investors who would prefer to invest in the non-interest product, as they've explained that we need innovative products, gender-based products for both female and the male. So now let's look at interest rate. Financial inclusion in Nigeria has not grown like that because of the interest rate in the country. Interest rate has not encouraged financial inclusion in the system. Now let's look at how can payments be cost effective from a Shariah perspective?
Okay. So number one, I'm sure if you try and put out a survey for people to fill out their experience about interest-based finance, it will really, really be helpful. I mean, people have really serious experience, and I personally have witnessed cases of people who have taken interest from conventional ways, and they got a property which collateral, they were not able to, because they were not able to refund the loan, they lose their properties and all like that due to accumulative interest. So it does more harm to people and businesses than good. But I think, it's also it will be a little bit difficult, because it's a way of people are already used to it, for fintech or any entity to drive no interest policy today. But I think innovators, fintech companies, every stakeholder in the financial sector can come up with innovative ideas to drive it. For example, the buy now, pay later model is one that can actually be leveraged on no interest policy while you still make your profit. Murabbaha, Mudoraba, which is Arabic for Islam, but originality it is called hot plot in English. So you can allow people to engage in buy now, pay later financing models, and it's going to be a really, really nice one. Or give out money to people on partnership. I think these are some of the ways that people can actually can harness easily. Businesses can harness easily to drive goals for the financial institution, rather than the exorbitant high interest rate. So I think we need to drive the technology infrastructure to adopt the best practices of no-interest policy to benefit the people rather than affecting, rather than implementing high interest rate methods that affect business. So I think that is one of the most sustainable models to bring no interest policy into financial inclusion.
Definitely, Mr. Lukman, and thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. And as we wrap up the conversation, share with us the holistic approach to achieving a transformative power of mobile money for all Nigerians without interest and the key players to drive the process.
Honestly speaking, the most efficient way of driving adoption is through advocacy system. So you get people, influencers, who can speak about your product or your services. So you get to attract people more and their fan base to actually, adopt whatever they advocate to. So, like I mentioned earlier, I would challenge religious leaders to be the first player in advocacy.
Okay.
You see, if just a pastor or an Islamic cleric comes out and says and quotes either the Bible or the Quran for people, this will go a long way. I mean, some of these top religious leaders. I think we just need to do the righteous thing. Let people realize there's values in faith. Let businesses realize there's values in no interest policy. It's not because I'm just a Muslim, but because I'm a conscious Muslim who is really particular about my sustainability, about my sustenance, about the way I live my life, which is to satisfy my faith. I think we need people to realize, people who are faith-based, to realize this opportunity and potential of non-interest. So I think the first player in the system, we cannot just always, depend on the government to do everything for us. We need to play our role to that. We know about it. Let's tell our families, let's tell our friends, conversation as a community. So, and I think the essence of the zero interest policy, which has been in the scriptures in ages, very, very long year ago, is just to make life easier for people, to bring harmony and peace among people, for people to love each other, for people to have that kind of feeling of humanity towards each other. And I think the Islamic financing principle is working in line in tandem to that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lukman, for sharing your thoughts with us. Paving the way to a digital economy, all hands must be on deck from the Islamic fintech, the non-interest financial institutions, the regulators. Financial inclusion is critical to Nigeria and Africa, particularly the unbanked population in the rural areas. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on driving financial inclusion with a no-interest policy in Nigeria. We appreciate your intervention. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much.
According to Mrs. Aisha Ahmed, the Deputy Governor of Financial System Stability of the Central Bank of Nigeria, said the country has currently achieved 64% out of the 95% target for financial inclusion by 2024. This provides immense opportunities for the National Financial Inclusion Strategy 2020 to 2024 to integrate more non-interest products that can woo unbanked Nigerians to achieve the set target in the next 2 years. And that will be all for this edition of the Islamic Finance Weekly. Log on to brochure.co to subscribe and read our latest news, articles, and stories also follow us on our social media platform displaying on the screen. Until we come your way again, thank you for watching.